There's this very specific, almost cinematic image of success that I think a lot of us have in our heads.
Hmm.
You see a founder or a high-level executive, and they're juggling 18 different things at once. They're sleep-deprived, running on caffeine, phone just glued to their hand, putting out fires.
Right. And the immediate thought is, wow, they must be so important.
Exactly. We've sort of collectively decided that exhaustion is a status symbol. If you aren't tired, you aren't succeeding.
It's true. It's like, if you aren't the most exhausted person in the room, are you even working hard enough?
Right. But today, we are doing a deep dive into some source material that takes that whole badge of honor, looks at it, and pretty much just tosses it in the trash.
It absolutely does. The source material actually has a name for that. It calls it the expensive lie.
The expensive lie, that sounds ominous.
It is. It's this pervasive belief that hustle is the only price you pay for freedom. You tell yourself, I'll just grind now so I can be free later.
Sure, the deferred life plan.
Exactly. But the reality, and the book Buy Back Your Life makes this painfully clear, is that for most people, once they achieve that success, it doesn't feel like freedom. It feels like a prison.
A prison you built yourself, which is kind of the worst kind, right? Because you have the keys, you just don't know how to use them.
That's it. So today we're unpacking that book.
Yeah.
And we're really going to focus on a framework from it called the Founder Dependency Curve.
Now, I want to be clear, even though it says founder, this isn't just for business owners.
No, not at all.
Hmm.
This applies to anyone who feels like they're the engine of their own life.
Mm.
You know, if you stop, everything stops.
That's the real so what for you listening. Whether you're running a startup, a department, or just a chaotic household, if you feel like the world rests on your ability to answer emails at 10 p.m., this is for you.
The whole mission here is to figure out how to move from being that engine, just burning your own fuel to keep the lights on, to becoming the architect.
The person who designs the blueprint so the machine runs without them.
Which sounds like a dream, but the source argues it's actually a structural necessity if you want to survive your own success.
Okay, so let's get into the weeds. The book introduces us to a character named Alex. And I have to say, reading about Alex was uncomfortable, a little too real.
Alex is that composite character, right?
Yeah.
He's the pattern the author sees over and over again in high performers. On paper, Alex is winning.
Oh yeah, revenue's up 20%, his LinkedIn looks amazing.
He's the guy you'd envy at a dinner party.
But if you actually look at his day, it's a complete disaster.
It's already a mess.
The specific details just killed me.
Hello?
He wakes up at 5:15 a.m. Now, usually in these productivity books, that's when the hero meditates or...
Right, journals, drinks, green juice.
Exactly. But Alex wakes up at 5:15 to handle a level 5 emergency.
Right, a junior designer messed something up, the client is freaking out, so Alex jumps in. And notice the subtle failure there.
That the client emailed Alex directly.
Exactly. The client knows Alex is the fixer, so he spends hours doing design work himself work. He pays other people to do, misses the gym, skips breakfast, and is late for a strategy meeting.
And here's the kicker. He thinks he's being a hero. He thinks this is what leading from the front looks like.
That's the trap. I'm willing to get my hands dirty. I'm part of the team. But the source has a pretty brutal diagnosis for this.
What's that?
It says Alex isn't a lead from the front CEO. He's the bottleneck in chief.
Ouch. Bottleneck in chief, that hits hard.
It hurts because it's true. And this is what the book defines as the hero trap. It's the far left side of that founder dependency curve we mentioned.
Okay, so let's visualize this curve for everyone listening. If we're looking at a graph, what's on the left?
The left side is the hero trap. In this zone, everything relies on brute force. The leader is the fuel. So as the business grows, the demand for fuel grows.
But you only have so much energy. Eventually you burn out, or the whole thing just stalls.
Right. And the goal is to get to the right side of the curve, the asset state. That's where the business is a self-multiplying entity, and the owner is the architect.
They design the systems, they don't run them.
But the reason people get stuck on the left side isn't just about bad delegation. It's psychological. It's what the book calls the responsiveness fallacy.
Okay, what's that?
It's this deep-seated belief that your value comes from how fast you respond. You think, I'm adding value because I'm available.
Answering a Slack in 30 seconds, picking up the phone on the first ring.
Yes. But what you're actually doing is creating a structural failure. By being the one who catches every falling glass, you've trained your team to never hold the cup.
That's such a powerful image. You're not helping them, you're actually training them to abdicate thinking.
Precisely. You're teaching them that their job is to report problems, and your job is to solve them. And you're training your clients to bypass all your systems. Why use a support ticket when they have your personal cell?
You're literally rewarding them for interrupting you. Okay, so we're trapped in this cycle. And there's a cost that goes beyond just being tired. The source material gets into the math of this with a concept called the silent leak.
This is where it gets really interesting and a little scary if you actually run the numbers on your own life. The source asks you to calculate your genius tax.
I love that term genius tax. It sounds expensive. So break down the math for us. How does that work?
Okay, so let's say your goal is to build a $5 million company. To hit that mark, your time as the founder needs to be generating value at roughly $2,500 an hour.
Okay, $2,500 an hour. That's the target value of your time. That's the standard.
Right. Now, imagine you spend an hour formatting a slide deck because you just want it to look right. Or you spend an hour booking your own flight. Those are $25 an hour tasks.
I see where this is going.
Most people think, oh, I just saved the company 25 bucks.
I'm being frugal. I'm bootstrapping.
No, you didn't save $25. You lost $2,475. You took a high-value asset, your strategic thinking, and you spent it on low-value maintenance.
The book calls that the most expensive coffee you will ever drink.
Exactly. It's not about the cost of the task. It's the opportunity cost of the person doing it. It's like having a Ferrari and using it to tow a plow.
A terrible use of the engine. So the book says these leaks happen wherever there's friction, right?
Yeah, friction's usually a sign of centralized authority. If you're the only person who can click send, that's friction. If the outcome is vague, so your team has to keep asking, is this right? That's friction.
So how do we stop the leak? Because knowing it exists is one thing, but stopping yourself from just quickly fixing it, that's hard. It's an addiction. We like feeling useful.
It is an addiction. And the source suggests a detox method called the 10-minute win, or the audit of the mundane.
This sounds really practical. Walk us through it.
You open your calendar or your sent folder for the last 24 hours. You look for any task that required 0 of your unique genius.
So like booking a meeting, data entry, formatting a doc, things that anyone could do.
Exactly. Anything where you were just a cog. And then you ask the lethal question, what would have happened if I simply didn't do this?
And if the answer is, nothing, really.
You delete it.
Whoa, wait, not delegate, just delete.
The source is very firm on this. Don't delegate yet. Just delete it.
That sounds absolutely terrifying to most type A people. You just stop doing it.
It's supposed to be terrifying. You need to prove to your own nervous system that the sky won't fall. You have to break the addiction to busy. If you delete a recurring meeting and nobody complains, did that meeting ever need to exist?
Probably not. It's a detox for your calendar. Okay, so we've identified the leaks, we've survived deleting a few meetings, now we need to go deeper. The source talks about a clinical diagnosis.
This is the shift from taking an aspirin to treating the tumor. Most people, when they're overwhelmed, just try to run faster. They hire more people, they buy new software.
If I just get a better project management tool, I'll be fine.
Right, but the source says every system has one critical constraint, one bottleneck that matters more than anything else. Fixing anything other than that one bottleneck is a complete waste of resources.
And a lot of the time, that bottleneck isn't a process, it's a specific type of client. The book calls them vampire clients.
I think everyone listening just pictured a specific face.
Oh, I definitely did. I can feel my blood pressure rising just thinking about it.
So the source suggests a financial triage checklist. You have to look at your clients coldly and compare the headache factor to the profit factor.
How do you quantify headache factor? Is it just a vibe?
It's partly intuition, but the book offers a specific metric, the founder dependency score.
Okay, what's that?
It asks, for every dollar of profit this client brings in, how many minutes of your personal time were required to fulfill it?
Wow, that changes the game. A client paying you $10,000 looks great on a P&L.
Sure, but if it takes 50 hours of your personal stress and late-night texts to earn it,
Yeah.
that score is terrible. You're losing money on them because of that opportunity cost we talked about.
You could have served 3 easy clients in the time it took to serve that one vampire. So if the headache is bigger than the profit...
You put them on the kill list?
The kill list! So dramatic.
It is, but it's necessary. You have to fire the project or the client to reclaim your energy. You can't build the future if you're constantly servicing the dysfunctions of the past.
Okay, so we've cleaned house, we've deleted the mundane tasks, fired the vampire clients. Now there's a vacuum. This is where we have to rebuild. the rewiring.
This is where we really transition to that architect mindset.
Mm-hmm.
And it starts with the provocative test, the bus test, or maybe less violently, the island test.
Which is?
If you went to an island with no Wi-Fi for a month, would the business thrive or would it wither?
For most people, definitely wither. Maybe burn to the ground.
And that's because most people don't understand the difference between delegation and abdication. The source argues that most leaders delegate tasks, not authority.
What is the actual distinction there? I feel like people use those words interchangeably.
Not the same at all. When you delegate a task, you say, do this specific thing. But the responsibility for the outcome, that stays with you. You still have to check it. You're the brain. They're just the hands.
Which is why you feel like you have to micromanage all the time.
Exactly. But when you delegate authority, you give someone the power to make decisions. You're delegating the outcome.
But that's scary. That's how mistakes happen, right? That's how you lose money.
It is scary, which is why the source gives us a safe framework for it. It's called the anatomy of an SOP.
A standard operating procedure.
Yes. But when people hear SOP, they think of like a 50-page manual that no one ever reads.
Or a Google Doc that hasn't been opened since 2019.
Right. This isn't that. This SOP is a map with 3 parts. First, the objective. What does done actually look like?
Okay. The client is happy and the project is submitted on time.
Second, the constraints. What are the guardrails?
Mm-hmm.
What can they not do? This is how you protect against those scary mistakes.
So you can solve this, but you can't offer a refund over $1,000, or you can't use the specific brand tone.
Exactly. You define the sandbox. And third, and this is the most important part, the authority. What decisions can they make without calling you?
The source gives a great example with Alex again. He set up a decision matrix.
Right. He told his team, if it costs under $500 to fix a problem, don't ask me. Just solve it.
That sounds so simple, but the psychological shift there is huge. You're telling the team, I trust your judgment up to $500.
And do you know what happened? The book calls it the silence of the pings. Suddenly, his phone just stopped buzzing every 5 minutes.
That must have been glorious.
Well, actually, the source says Alex felt massive anxiety at first. He thought something was wrong.
It's like phantom limb syndrome for micromanagement. Why
Yep.
does no one need me? Do I even matter anymore?
Exactly. It's an ego check. But his team became faster and more creative because they were allowed to use their own brains. They stopped being task rabbits. They became problem solvers.
So the team is moving. You've handed over authority. But you still worry about quality. How do you make sure things don't tank without hovering over everyone?
This is the feedback loop. You meet a dashboard. The source recommends a simple red, yellow, green system.
Okay, break that down.
You shouldn't be asking what's happening in a meeting. That's a waste of time. You should just be able to look at the sensors. Green means on track. Yellow, at risk. Red, blocked.
And the rule is about how you react to those colors.
Correct. If something is yellow or red, you don't jump in and fix it yourself. You ask the system owner for their plan. You ask, what do you need to get this to green? You coach, you don't save.
That's a key distinction. Coaching versus saving. Saving feels good, but it just creates dependency. Coaching builds capacity. There was another tool I loved here, the hashtag solved it rule.
Oh, this is brilliant. So simple. You create a channel in Slack or Teams. Every time a team member solves a tricky problem, they post it. Here's what went wrong. Here's how I fixed it.
So it celebrates the solution.
It celebrates the solution, but here's the rule. If the same problem happens twice, it must become an SOP.
So you are crowdsourcing the perfection of the business.
You got it. You aren't the only one writing the rule book anymore. The business gets smarter every single day, even if you're not there.
And this all leads to what the source calls revenue acceleration. Because once you're not fixing shipping errors, you can focus on velocity.
Velocity, not just volume. So instead of chasing new leads, you look for hidden revenue. The source suggests sending a value-add email to your top clients.
I think people will want the script for this. What does that email actually say?
It's surprisingly simple. You write to your best clients and say something like, we've recently freed up some capacity. I'm doing a review of our top partners. What's a bottleneck or a problem you're dealing with right now that we haven't discussed?
That's it. You just ask what else is wrong in your world.
That's it. It's amazing how much revenue is just sitting there, because we never asked. We were too busy formatting slides to even think about it.
It all comes back to that capacity. When you buy back your time, you buy back the mental space to find those opportunities.
An architect can see the whole board. A firefighter can only see the fire in front of them.
So let's recap the journey. We've escaped the hero trap, plugged the leaks, fired the vampires, and rewired the operations. Now we're at the final transition.
The identity shift.
This feels like the hardest part, moving from firefighter to architect. Because the question is, if I'm not putting out fires, what do I actually do all day?
It's a real existential crisis for leaders. The source is very clear on this new standard. Your job becomes three things: visionary strategy, high-level relationships, and cultural stewardship.
Vision, relationships, and culture.
That's it. You steer the ship, you shake hands with other captains, and you make sure the crew is healthy. It sounds a lot more sustainable than a level 5 emergency at 5:15 a.m.
And infinitely more valuable. To make this stick, the source offers one last practical protocol: the 24-hour architect protocol.
This one is tough for people addicted to their phones. The rule is, do not check your phone first thing in the morning.
I can hear the collective panic, but what if?
Laughs, I know. But the protocol is to dedicate the first 90 minutes of your day to deep thought and what it calls power questions.
Because if you check your email first, what happens?
You're instantly in reaction mode. You're living in someone else's agenda. An architect designs. A firefighter reacts. You can't design the future if you're putting out fires from yesterday.
It really is a complete rewiring of how we view work. It's not about doing more. It's about designing better.
And that leads to the final provocative thought the source leaves us with: the legacy audit.
This one really hit me hard. It's a question that just stops you in your tracks.
It asks, if your business and your life continues to run exactly as it is now for the next 10 years, what kind of person will you become?
Wow. Not how much money will you have, but who will you be?
Exactly. Will you be stressed, divorced, and burnt out? Or will you be free, creative, and impactful?
And if the answer isn't free, creative, and impactful, then it doesn't matter how much revenue is on the spreadsheet. It's time to check the blueprint.
It really puts that expensive lie in perspective. Is the hustle worth it if the result is a person you don't even want to be?
That is a massive question to sit with. I think we all have some mundane audits to do and maybe a few things to delete from our calendars.
Absolutely. Start with the delete button. It's the most powerful tool you have.
Thank you for listening to this deep dive into Buy Back Your Life. Hopefully you're walking away with a few ideas on how to stop being the engine and start being the architect. We'll see you in the next one.